afternoon. This is Debbie Broughton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from St. Robert, Missouri. I'm glad that you could join me today. I am recording this video so that I can put it on YouTube for some of my customers who do not have Facebook, because in their class packets this month they got one of these sheets to watercolor. So let's get started. There was a new kit that came out in November, and it was called Nature's Prints, and it has all these beautiful flowers and leaves that you can learn to watercolor with. Now, I've already used quite a few, but you get 2 of each one, and I think there's 12, so 24, and then you get some at the back that are blank that you can use to stamp yourself or to see how different colors blend together. So you get the little tablet here of pictures. You get these watercolor pencils, and you get a water brush, and you get some directions. Or they're like little guides. It doesn't show you all of them, it just shows you a few of them. So, but you could get the idea, and the rest will be easy to finish up. So, in case you do not have watercolor pencils, I'm going to show you some different ways that you could color. I know that these 3, some people got this one, some people got this one, some people got these pansies. So I'm not going to do all of them here today. I'm just going to give you some hints, and then you can finish up. So let's start with these, which are magnolias. Now, magnolias come in white and pink and purple and yellow. So we're going to, if we left them white, it wouldn't be a very watercolored picture. So we're just going to try out some different colors on here today. But you could do all yours the same color, or you could switch up the color like I'm going to do. It's just all up to you. So let's see what you could use if you didn't have watercolor pencils, but you had a water painter. So what you could do, we're going to do some leaves here. So we're going to open up this Granny Apple Green, and we're going to get our block in here and get some of it. Well, I guess I should have maybe re-inked these a little before I did this. I didn't realize my Granny Apple Green was, there we go. So now we have some Granny Apple Green on there, and the color that we're going to highlight with is Coastal Cabana. Now you might think, why are we using blue on the leaves? But they will blend together. I blended them together here with the watercolor pencils on the piece of scrap paper, and they look very pretty for a nice bright leaf. So we are going to try them using ink. So now I have some Granny Apple Green, some Coastal Cabana. So we're going to put down with, if you have a water painter, we're going to squeeze it till a little bit comes out, and we're going to pick some off our block there, and we're just going to carefully color this leaf in with Granny Apple Green. And we could do a few more to use up some of the ink that we have on our painter. So there, it's getting pretty light now. So I'm just going to, you can either have a piece of scrap paper here and wipe it off, or I have a cloth off camera that I use to get the first color off. So now we're going to go, and wherever there are some lines in the leaves, we're going to use the Coastal Cabana to highlight those lines. So this one has a few lines in there. And these little bitty ones don't. So we're just going to add a touch of Coastal Cabana. And then again, we're going to wipe off our brush. Squeeze, be sure that there's water in there. And then we're going to kind of come along and blend those two together. So let's try it on the stem now, because that will be even longer and we can see better. So we're going to get some Granny Apple Green and we're going to come down I really should have got my glasses before I started this. I forgot. And now I'm just going to put a little bit of Coastal Cabana every once in a while coming down here on the side. And then I'm going to blend that together. And can you see how it kind of leaves a little bit of a shadow? If you hold on just one moment, I'm going to go get my... Okay, I'm back now. When you get older and have to wear reading glasses, you have to have a set in every room. So I did pretty good. I went out of the lines a little bit, but this is watercoloring, so it's not going to matter that much. So now let's say you have inks, but you don't have a water painter, but you do have a blender brush. A blender pen, that's what they call them. So you can kind of do the same thing, but it's easier because you have a smaller tip. So I'm going to take some Granny Apple Green and I'm going to color this stem. And I might as well get this leaf as long as I'm here. Since I've already kind of used this as scrap paper, I'm going to just use that to get the green off my blender pen. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Coastal Cabana here. And I'm going to go over these lines that are on the stem. And then we're going to clean up the Coastal Cabana. And we're going to take our blender pen and we're just going to kind of blend it together. There we go. So that's two different ways that you can use it. You can use it with the water painter or with the blender pen. And you could do, you know, clean these up and then do them in the purples and do the flowers. But I'm just going to show you some different tips here. So we're going to put these up here so we don't get messed up. Now, what's another thing you could do if you do not have watercolor pencils or a blender pen or a water brush, you could use our blends. This is Highland Heather, so I'm going to make one of these flowers be purple, and so this is the lighter purple, this is the darker purple. I'm going to take the darker purple, I'm going to take the small tip, and I'm just going to do these lines because it's kind of like the artist who drew these gave us these lines so that we could see some different color in there. So we're going to say that this one is going to be lighter at the top and darker at the bottom. So now we're going to take the brush here and we're going to just blend right over that other color down there, the dark Highland Heather, with the light. And see how it just kind of gives you like a little shadow there? That's what you're looking for. It helps it to look more 3D. Now, if you think maybe you want it even lighter at the tips than what the light does, you can use the color lifter. That you can get to go along with the blends. And we're just going to take a little bit of the light Highland Heather off the tips so they're lighter. And we're going to kind of blend it in a little. Just not a lot, just a little bit off the tips so they look just a little bit lighter. I don't know if you could tell on the camera, but they are. So that is a way to do them using the blending pens, our markers. You could also do them with our regular markers. They would be harder to blend, but you could still color them in with those. So now let's see, how would we do it if we got this kit and we had the water brush, these watercolor pencils. I'll tell you what colors these are. They are Stampin' Up! Colors, so this one is Coastal Cabana, Pumpkin Pie, Early Espresso, Flirty Flamingo, Daffodil Delight, Garden Green, Red, but I'm going to say this red is like real red, and Berry Burst. Those are the colors that come in the pack. So I think we're going to make this flower be, what should we say? I guess maybe we could make it be yellow. Oh, let's make it be pink. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of color in a petal. We'll color in these three down here. So now we're going to take our watercolor brush. We're going to be sure that it's wet. And we're just going to kind of smooth it down to get rid of all those lines from where we colored. We want it to look like we painted it. So now you might let that dry a little bit, and then we will try some, we don't want to try Flirty Flamingo. Let's try some Berry Burst, which is a very dark, like pink purple. So we're just going to put that down here at the bottom to kind of make some shadows at the bottom. So just like with the marker or with the paint brush with the blender pen and the ink, we're just going to do some lines with the darker color. Then again, we're going to take, so for this one, because we want it to be so light pink, we're going to come down like this, because if we go up, we'll get too much of that dark pink, our berry burst, up into the pink, and we want that to stay light. We just want the bottom to be darker. This is very relaxing to color. So there, you see how now that they're different tones, it kind of gives them more of a 3D effect than just coloring them in. So I think those will look pretty. And if we wanted to do one other color, I guess we could try yellow. Which one do I want to make yellow? I think I'll try to make this one yellow. I'll just do a few on here. And I'm going to leave the inside of the petal white. So I just want to go here on the outside and get my Daffodil Delight in there. And then I think I'm going to use pumpkin pie just a little bit on these lines. Because once we smooth it out, it won't be as orange as it is now. It'll just maybe give it a little darker at the bottom. So let me get my paintbrush here. Be sure that it's cleaned off and squeeze some water out of it. There's these two spots where say push, and you can push and you can actually see the water coming down to the tip. So this time let's take it up from the bottom up to the top and see what difference it makes. See how it brings more of the pumpkin pie up into the yellow, into the Daffodil Delight, than when we did it the opposite way. So we'll go up with this one. And there we go. And then we have the garden green. Oh, I hate to, I'm going to not do this one. I'm going to use garden green. I'm not going to do this one because I want to keep those all the same shade. I will do one that's over here. So let's try if we do Coastal Cabana and garden green over here on this leaf. So first we're going to come in with our Coastal Cabana and do the leaves. Garden green might be too dark of a color, but we shall see what happens. Now we'll just take our water brush here. See, that looks pretty good. See, it's different than this one, but we'll make this be a different color flower. So let's go on to another one. Now for the next two, we're just going to use, like we had the colored pencils and everything that came in the kit. The one way I forgot to show you is that you can dip your, let me see what I'm going to do it on. I will just do it on one of these leaves. You can just dip your, I have a little cup here. Let me put some water in it. You could just get the tip of your watercolor pencil wet, and then it will be a darker color and it will kind of just blend all by itself. You won't even need to use the brush. So we're going to try that on this stem down here. See how it kind of just smooths itself out? You don't get any of the lines like you get when the tip is dry. So you could do that too, but then it's really hard because it's much darker. So it'll be harder to get the Coastal Cabana in there to blend in with it. All right, so let's move on to the next one. So let's do some of these pansies. When I'm thinking about a pansy, I think that they are red, like a red-orange. I don't know why I think it's black in the middle, but we'll make ours yellow, and then I'll have to look that up because there are orange ones. There are different colors of poppies too. If I said pansies, I meant poppies. So I'm going to use the red. And I also have, in the catalog, and in previous years, we sold watercolor pencils in packs like these. This is assortment number 2, and I'm going to get the cherry cobbler out of there. Now, if you don't have the other watercolor pencils, you can always just color darker with your red one. But since I do have cherry cobbler, I'm going to use that for the shadows. So I'm going to do this leaf right out here. Like I said, the leaves and the stems would be like, and if you have these other packs, you have some different greens to pick from. So we're just going to do this one outer bloom right here. I didn't realize that it was going to go around the whole flower. So we're going to smooth that out. Now, to me, poppies are much darker red than this, so I might have to go over this again with the red after we add the cherry cobbler. I'm going to add the cherry cobbler to where the lines are. Then I'm going to take my, and again, I'm going to come from the dark to the light because I want these to be darker. These, to me, look kind of pink because I colored too lightly with the red pencil. But I can fix that. First, I'm going to get some of this cherry cobbler up there. Okay. We're just going to try something here. I don't know if it's going to work, but we shall try it. Maybe we will try adding some berry burst to it. Just a little berry burst, just to maybe darken up that red just a little. I'm just going to put in a few areas of berry burst. And then I'm going to use my painter. And that did darken it up a little, although I think it could be even darker red. But you know what? We're going to set this aside and let it dry, because if you let it dry and then add color, it will be a darker color. So we'll try the berry burst and the red again after that dries, and we'll go on to the next flower that some people might have gotten. As soon as I can find it here. Here it is. Okay, some people might have got the peony. And the peony we're going to do, see, it's like this one on the front. So we're going to use a Flirty Flamingo and some Berry Burst down at the bottom. And we're going to try to make this be a very light pink. So let me get some. First, so for this one, I'm going to start with the darker color. Let's see, I can't decide if I want to do, I think I'm going to do Berry Burst. Let me find a good, here's one. Here's a good petal to do. So I'm going to make these, now like I said, you can make any color combinations. Peonies come in a lot of different colors too. I'm just using these colors to give you an idea. So now we're going to take my water painter. We're going to get some of the old colors off here. And this time, instead of coming up out of here, we're going to go down like this. And we're going to spread the color out like that, coming down instead of going up. And we're going to get a lighter color at the top than when we did it the opposite way. Because these are just like this is going to be a very light pink. Poppy. Not poppy, peony. So see how that kind of has the dark color at the bottom and the lighter color at the top, and I only used one color of the pencils too to get that. I think that's very pretty. Now I know the middle of peony is yellow, so we could do this one over here. We're just going to kind of come in and color that with Daffodil Delight and use our brush to smooth out the lines. Now again, if we thought that it's darker towards right here at the middle because it has a shadow, we could take our orange and we could just put a line of orange just right there, and then we can smooth that out. And it'll just give it a darker tinge in the middle. So let's try this one, Berry Burst. Oh, that's Cherry Cobbler. See, now I'm going to get myself mixed up. Berry Burst. We're just going to do this one to see what it looks like with the yellow. So we're going to come down like that. Now we're going to be very careful to try not to get into that orange. We're going to come down here and pick the paint up. And there we go. I'm not really sure if I like that orange right there, so I'm going to go over it with the Daffodil Delight. And see, that kind of just lightens it up a little. I'm going to let it dry, and I could probably get in there and get some more yellow. And again, you could do the leaves any way you like. You could do them with just the garden green, or you could use the Granny Apple Green and the Coastal Cabana. Okay, let's see what other colors they have. And they have Old Olive. So you could do Old Olive and Garden Green. Let's try that. Basic gray. We don't need that. Old Olive. So all olive will be the lighter color. Let's do this leaf down here. And Garden Green will be the darker color. So we're just going to kind of color this leaf in with Old Olive. I'm just trying to give you some different ideas for colors for the flowers and the leaves, and whichever set of flowers that you got, it will work. Now we're going to go in with the garden green. Oh, garden green's the one I put in the water too, so it's going to be really dark because it's still a little wet. Okay, let's get our brush and see what we can do with this leaf. I need a little bit more water. I am not an expert at all with watercoloring. Patty Bennett, she's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from California, and she has a great video on the watercoloring. If you kind of wanted to look that up, she has lots more tips than I do. And she uses some different colors and stuff to give you some different ideas with the different pieces that we're doing. So, and then when you get done with these, I've already cut these two to be the right size for a card front, 5 1/4 by, well, they are 4 across, so I didn't have to cut that way. But this one, I didn't know what somebody might want to do with that. Let me show you. I made this card with a different design that's in the book. And then I also did, I used, I'm trying to, my Pool Party blending brush to do the outside. And I tried to leave some white space so it looked more like, actually I did this. This is the one I did with the marker with Pool Party. To see how much more smoother it is. And I tried to leave little white spots to make it look a little like watercoloring. This one I actually used the Coastal Cabana pencil. And then I kind of went over it with the watercolor paintbrush here and smoothed it out some. But you don't have to color the background if you don't want to. Many people just leave them white. Or like on this one, they just colored a little bit Pool Party or Coastal Cabana in the background. Just to give you some ideas of how to, this is a very fun kit and it's very relaxing to color. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon and keep on stamping.